What's up guys, and today's operator analysis is going to be on Thatcher. To start off, Thatcher actually has the option between three weapons, which is the AR-33, the L85A2, and the M590A1 shotgun. And when it comes to choosing one out of these three weapons, I always used to pick the AR-33. I recently started using the L85A2, and I actually prefer it over the AR-33. And don't get me wrong, both weapons are actually pretty great, but for some reason I feel I'm a lot more accurate with the L85 than the AR-33. I'm assuming this has to do something with the recoil pattern. I feel with the L85 it's a lot more predictable, so it's very easy to control. As for Thatcher's shotgun, it's actually pretty good. I never pick it mainly because I think that his primary assault rifles is way better option than his shotgun. Also, I like to have the ability to fight somebody from a distance, so with an assault rifle you're capable of doing that, with a shotgun you're not. As for my attachments, I always like to put an ACOG scope on all my assault rifles, and for the barrel attachment I always put on a muzzle brake, and for my underbarrel I usually pick vertical grip. And for the L85 I actually do the same exact setup. And for Thatcher's shotgun I usually run a holographic sight, but since it is a shotgun you're probably not going to need a sight on it. It kind of helps at times, but it's not necessary. For Thatcher's sidearm, he only has one choice, which is the P226 MK25. And this pistol is actually one of the best pistols in the game. It has 45 damage and actually has a 15 round mag, which is pretty great if you ask me. And as for all my pistols, I always run a silencer on it. And the only reason I run silencers on my pistols is so I could take out cameras without being heard. And now for Thatcher's gadgets, you have the choices between a breach charge or a claymore. And when it comes to picking one of the two, it really depends on your team. If a lot of your teammates have breaching charges, then I suggest you get a claymore to help them with flankers. And if a lot of your teammates have claymores, then I suggest getting breaching charges to help them push the objective. So now I'm going to be talking about Thatcher's gadget, which is his EMP grenade. Thatcher's EMPs could take out any enemy electronics. And this is actually pretty important because it takes out things like bandits, battery, or mutes jammers. And what makes the device so effective, it actually works through walls. And this is actually pretty important because it helps breaching into a room a lot easier. You're going to find yourself in a situation where Thermite's trying to blow a wall, but there's either a mute jammer or a shock wire blocking him from doing so. So as Thatcher, you simply just have to throw your EMP grenades at the wall and they'll destroy the gadget behind it. So one thing to keep in mind when throwing the grenades is that it actually has a very short radius. So if you throw it too far from the wall, it actually won't hit anything behind it. Also, you can't cook EMP grenades like a grenade. So when you're trying to throw it out a window, you got to make sure that you're close to it, because if you throw it from a distance, most times you're just going to miss and it's going to fall down. I usually like to rappel right next to the window and then place it right on that wooden ledge. Most times it'll stay there and activate without any issues. Also, it's very important that you use your EMPs for the right locations. You're only given 3 for the whole round, so you got to use those correctly. And the correct way to use your EMP is basically just follow where Thermite's going or Hibana. And you're mainly going to use it on walls that have shock wire or mute jammers. And those are usually your first priorities when you're using those EMP grenades. But there are occasions where you're going to use your EMP for other things. An example would be that the enemy team has castled off every window and they put a mute jammer right under it. If you guys don't have a sledge or frag grenades, this is going to make it very difficult for you guys to get inside the room. Also, one thing to note is that Jaeger's ADS could actually take out your EMP grenade if you throw it in the room. And you need to consider this next time the enemy team has a Jaeger, because if you throw your EMP in the room, most likely his ADS is going to take it out, and you basically just wasted one EMP grenade. Last thing to note is that Thatcher's EMP actually temporarily disables some gadgets. This includes Pulse's heartbeat sensor, Echo's drone, and holographic sights. They are only disabled for a couple seconds and then they come back on. Now I'm going to be talking about Thatcher's role in the team. Thatcher's role is actually pretty simple, which is basically to help your team breach inside a room. Whether it be helping Thermite blow a reinforced wall, or helping your teammates get past those castle barricades, you basically have to eliminate any electronics that the enemy is using to stop your team from breaching inside the room. Also, once you have sightline of that wall, I suggest you throw your EMPs right away, because you never know when you're going to die during a round, so it's best to use your EMPs as soon as you see that wall. Also, since you're Thatcher, you should always be sticking with Thermite or Hibana. This way you can make breaching that reinforced wall a lot faster, and you won't waste time. Once you throw your EMP grenades, you can play any way you want with Thatcher. When I play Thatcher, I play really aggressive with him, mainly because he has really good weapons, and once you throw those EMP grenades, you're no longer vital to the team. In this case, playing really aggressive with Thatcher puts a lot of pressure on the enemy team, and since you used your EMPs, you shouldn't be afraid of dying. Also, I think it's a lot more effective playing Thatcher really fast than being really slow and passive. So now I'm going to be going over some mistakes people make when playing Thatcher. One of the most common mistakes I see people make with Thatcher is that they only EMP one wall. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first played Thatcher, I would usually just EMP the one wall Thermite wanted, then go off and do my own thing. But there's some situations where Thermite blows one wall outside, and then he has to get inside to blow the back wall. So if you're Thatcher and you EMP one wall, you have to make sure you go around the other side and get that back wall. Because without you, Thermite can't activate his charge. And if you're Thatcher and you decide to go off and do your own thing and you get killed, you just made the round a lot harder for your team. Another mistake I see people make with Thatcher is that they don't throw their EMPs right away. I played with a lot of teammates that picked Thatcher, and instead of going with Thermite to help him breach that wall, they decide to go off and get killed. And when this happens, it's actually pretty frustrating because now you gotta find another way through the objective room. Instead, you should have let Thermite to that wall, and you should have removed any gadget that's preventing him from placing his charge. And once you used all your EMP grenades, you can do whatever you want. Because at that point, if you die, you've done your job, you help Hibana or Thermite blow those reinforced walls. So your death won't affect the team as much. So the only way to really mess up with Thatcher is to not use your EMPs correctly or die right away. Now I'll be rating Thatcher on 3 things, which is loadout, gadget, and team efficiency. For Thatcher's loadout, he gets an easy 10 out of 10. I love both his assault rifles. His AR-33 and his L-85 are both awesome weapons. Overall, both weapons are really balanced. They have good damage, good fire rate, and a decent magazine size. Also on top of this, Thatcher has one of the best pistols in the game. His pistol does 45 damage and has a 15 round mag, which is pretty amazing if you ask me. And Thatcher also has breaching charges and claymores, which are super useful when you're playing. On top of this, Thatcher also has a good shotgun to use. And if you add all these things up, that's why Thatcher easily gets a 10 out of 10 for his loadout. Now for his gadget, I'm easily going to give him a 9 out of 10 for this one. Since his EMPs could take out any gadget through a wall, that makes him super important to the team. When you're not rocking a Thatcher on your team, it makes it a lot harder for your team. Even if you have a Twitch or a grenade, those get countered very easy. Since Thermite can't place his charge on muted walls or shocked wired walls, his gadget basically becomes useless. That's why these EMP grenades are so vital to the team. And the only reason he gets a 9 out of 10 instead of 10 out of 10, if the enemy team is not using a bandit or a mute, Thatcher becomes a lot less important because his EMP grenades are not that useful. Now moving on to Thatcher's team efficiency, he's going to get a 9 out of 10 for this one. Thatcher's a heavily team-based operator and he plays the ultimate support role. In most occasions, a Thermite's nothing without his Thatcher, because more often than not, the enemy team always picks a bandit or a mute. Also, once Thatcher throws his EMP grenades, he's basically one of the operators in the front lines because his role is no longer vital once those EMP grenades were thrown. And the only reason he's not getting a 10 out of 10 for his team efficiency, because sometimes an enemy team won't rock a bandit or a mute, and so Thatcher becomes less vital to the team. But overall, Thatcher is a really team-based operator. That's why his overall is a 9 out of 10. With these 3 scores, it makes his overall score a 9 out of 10. Well, hope you guys enjoyed watching the video. If you did, hit that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel. Also, I like getting feedback on my videos, so if you guys like or dislike something about it, leave it down in the comment section below. And thanks for watching.